career-related studies coordinator here at North Atlanta. And this part, my part, is specifically for rising juniors. So if you're not a rising junior parent, you're welcome to stay. And then after I speak with you about the IB, the continuum of the IB program for 11th and 12th graders, someone will talk about the other options in 11th and 12th grade. Everything that I have here is on my website, and I'll show you how to access this PowerPoint when it's over. So you're probably thinking, as a 10th grade parent, about your child entering either the diploma or the career-related program. Raise your hand if you already have a child that has gone through the diploma program. Okay. So you probably know a little bit about it. So why would you want your child to enter either of the programs that I have here? They consist of courses taken in the junior, senior year, so it is a 2-year program. It prepares students for college while building a transcript indicating very rigorous coursework. We have a worldview of education where the teachers purposefully think of how to teach international mindedness in their classrooms and make connections to other classes. So it's very interdisciplinary as well. A well-rounded education experience. Again, a lot of people ask me, well, what's the difference between AP and IB? IB is a program. It consists of 6 classes, really 7, and then the core of the program. Instead of taking just 1 rigorous class, or 2, or 3, the DP consists of their entire schedule is DP, and CP, a lot of their schedule is part of IB program. Builds a transcript based upon multiple types of assessments over 2 years. So the courses at the end of their senior year, whether they're CP or DP, the seniors end up taking, they have assessments for each of their classes. And they're all structured very differently from each other, and we spend a lot of time junior year preparing the kids on how to, teaching them the skills to be successful at these kinds of assessments. So the characteristics of a DP or CP student, the #1 word is motivation. Not necessarily how smart they are, it's about how motivated they are. And it's helpful if they can write well. And the reason I say that is because almost all IB assessments are written assessments. There's one little multiple choice part, but for the most part, everything is essay. A lot of research, lots of research involved. Students that are capable of producing high quality work in all subject areas. IB is a program that we believe that the students can do this work, and it is structured in a way where, yes, they have to take a class in all of their core subjects, and they might not be crazy about history, but they're really good at math and science, or vice versa, and the program is structured in a way where they still can be very successful and diving in all the different classes. DP is especially good for kids that have not decided on a particular major yet, because they have to experience 2 years of all different subjects, and then by the time they're done, a lot of the kids say, you know what, I really like that biology, I really want to get involved in that when I get into college. CP, I'll talk about that in a minute, is really good for kids that already have a serious interest in something. They're pretty sure they know what they want to do. Time management skills. Besides being motivated, they have to practice time management. Those are the 2 most important things. They have to want to do it, and they have to be a planner. They have to plan to do it. You cannot function in either of these programs without having some plan of action for 2 years, because you have a lot of work to do. It's doable. The kids do it. They get through it every year, but you have to have a plan. And students that can juggle numerous writing and research projects at one time. That's especially in their senior year, and we spend a lot of time in their junior year teaching a lot of the skills and the content to prepare them for everything we're going to ask them to do in their senior year. Clearly, you probably know this. The coursework that the kids engage in really prepares them in college-level courses. They're viewed as more rigorous than any other program, according to most colleges, and produces well-rounded students. Depending on the university the students want to go to, they can get college credit. You have to research that for yourself and see, well, what colleges accept IB, DP credit? How do they view DP students? There's probably something on there about that. You can also go to the IBO website. And I'll show you that at the end. They have an entire page for parents about universities and what universities offer IB students. And if nothing, they're better off in college for going through this experience because they're ahead of the game. They're already ahead of everyone, whether they got credit or not. They know how to write a paper, they know how to do research, and they know how to manage their time. A lot better than anybody else that they're going to be hanging out with freshman year. Slide. Okay. So, what are the requirements to enter either program? So both of the programs are equally rigorous, so one's not easier than the other. And so the requirements are the same, aside from a little part I'll talk about. It is recommended but not required. If you're a 10th grade parent, we're kind of beyond that, but it is recommended that IB, DP, or CP students take at least one AP class in 9th and 10th grade because it really does help them prepare with the research and the writing and the reading, because there's a lot of those things in both programs. And they don't, we do teach those skills in 11th grade, so if they didn't take the AP class, it's not a requirement, but we just, for 8th and 9th grade students, we really want them to know that it's a good idea. So they have to have an 85% average in their core for DP, their core classes, and their world language class. So I'm just talking about DP right now. They have to have completed their personal project, which the sophomores are working on right now, and it's due in the next couple of months, or 3 months, probably good. And this is new. We were requiring Lexile score, a minimum Lexile score, but we don't get their Lexile scores anymore because we don't give that test anymore. But the students recently took the PSAT, and that is made up of the reading and writing score, the evidence-based reading and writing, and math. But we don't require our kids to have a minimum math score. But reading and writing is in every one of their classes, even in their math class, in DP and CP. They have to do a research paper in math, so they have to know how to research in math and write for math. So there's a lot of reading and writing. And for DP, very important, they have to have 2 years of the same language already to go into, because you have to take a world language in DP. It's not optional. And of course, that's Spanish, French, Chinese, and Arabic. For CP, it's very similar, 85% in the core, but CP students do not have to continue their world language courses, but they do have to continue their pathway courses. And so they have to have an 85 in their pathway. I want to show you what pathways we have as options. They also have to complete their personal project. They also have to have the PSAT 430 score minimum. And just like with DP, they have to have 2 years of language. With CP, they must already be on a pathway. And I'll show you these in a second. So here are the pathways that we offer at North Atlanta. So, let me go to the next slide. Yeah, Mr. Can you help me out? Can you go to the next? I think it's. No, go back. It's fine. I'll get to it. It's 2 slides down. So for CP, just to tell you, DP, the kids have to take 6 DP classes, plus TOK and an elective. They can take another DP class. For CP kids, they have to take a minimum of 2 DP classes plus their PPS, and they have to be on their pathway. Now, these are the pathways that we have. Now, they have to have started their pathway in at least 10th grade. If they started in 9th grade, that's fine too. Okay? And these are the pathways: audiovisual, tech, film, business, technology, graphic design, ROTC, programming, web, and digital design. And these are the ones that we offered for this year's CP kids. This is our first cohort of CP kids this year. And I've been working and getting the visual arts pathway, and we're pretty certain that's done. And I might have one for music and orchestra as well. I'm really working on these to get them done. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of phone calls, a lot of people involved. But I feel like we can have it done by the end of the school year, but I can't guarantee that. I can pretty much guarantee the visual arts. Okay, going back to diploma. The full diploma program is designed to prepare students for the best way possible for college, university expectations and requirements. It concentrates on all areas of a well-rounded student. So you can see here, they have to take 6 DP classes. Literature, language, individuals and societies, which we have 3. Well, everybody takes history, it's a 2-year class. We also have econ, which is a senior DP class, and we have business management, which is either a junior or a senior class. They have to have a science, chemistry, physics, or biology. Students choose. And they have to have math. And we have 2 DP math classes. We have mathematics, which can be 1 or 2 years, depending on where the student is in their math, where they are in math when they enter the program. Or the math studies class, which is offered senior year. It's a 1-year class. And if they are an art student already, they can take an IB art class. We have IB art, we have IB visual art, we have IB dance, we have IB music, and IB film. If they're not an art student, then they take another one of either, they can take a second language if they already have 2 years. So say, for instance, they're going to take French because they're in French right now and they're also in Arabic. They can double up in their language. Or they can take 2 sciences if they want. Or they can do what most of our kids end up doing is they take IB Econ their senior year because economics is a graduation requirement anyway. But they have to have those 6. The first 5 are non-negotiable. The 6th one, where it says arts, can be changed with something else. They have to have a TOK class that lasts 2 years. This is where they learn why they think and know the things that they think they know. And as a 2-year class, they have to do a presentation in their junior year. It is internally assessed, but IB gets their scores, and then they have to write a TOK paper their senior year. They have to write an extended essay, which they do in their junior year, and that is a really big research paper, and they get a lot of choice in what they can write in. They can write in any of the subjects that they take at school, and then some. And we start at the beginning of junior year and it's due at the end of the junior year. We use our advisement time and TOK to go over the parts of that essay, because there's a lot of parts to that essay. They have to complete 150 hours of CAS. That's creativity, activity, and service. And they need to be spread out evenly, so something like 50-50-50. I know you're going to have questions about that later, because that's the #1 parent question, is about CAS. And they have to complete their 6 IBDP assessments at the end of their senior year. Any questions about this slide? Yes, I'm going to show you where it's at the end. I'm going to show you what's at. Good question. Okay, this is the career-related program. And this is, yes? What is TOK? Theory of knowledge. Good question. Okay, and theory of knowledge ties all of their subjects together. And the areas of knowledge is what you're called in theory of knowledge. And so they learn why people and how people think in the different areas and why they think in the way they do. Okay, the career-related program, this will be, next year will be our 2nd year. We'll have our first graduating cohort for our juniors right now. And it's designed to prepare students for any of the following secondary pathways. It helps, in employment, apprenticeship, further technical training, and university study. Some parents or students are like, well, I want to go to college. I don't want to do CP because I want to go to college. I say, well, that's fine because that's what this is preparing you to do. CP is for students that have a great interest in one of these programs. They just have a great interest. They don't have to immediately go get a job, and they don't have to major in it in college. But it does look good when the student already is motivated enough to dedicate 3 to 4 years of their high school to really think about this one subject that they're really passionate about. And I showed you those. Those were ROTC, business management. Y'all remember those? Web design? Can go back if you want me to. They have to have 2 DP classes. They can take any 2 they want. We'd like them to take 2 that align with their pathway. And one of those 2 classes has to last 2 years. So like literature class, DP Lit, most of the CP kids take because that's a super helpful class in learning how to write, think, and process information. They have to be in their pathway courses, and they have to have, instead of theory of knowledge for DP, they have to have personal and professional skills class, which is also a 2-year class, which does also dedicate a lot of its time to their chosen pathway. And in that class, like instead of the extended essay, they have to do the reflective project, which is a very similar kind of research paper that is aligned with their pathway. It has to have some kind of connection to their pathway. Instead of CAS, the DP students have to do the 150 hours of CAS. The CP students have to do 50 hours of service learning, and it has to have some kind of alignment with their pathway. And they do not have to take a language class. They don't have to continue in their languages. Some of them do, but they have to acquire language. They have to work on language development. And if you have questions about that, I'll answer that. And they have to be assessed in at least 2 DP classes. And of course, the big thing is they have to follow a pathway. Does anybody have any questions about the pathways? I can do it now. Okay. Okay, so the kids on their own have to practice and develop a language for about 50 hours over the 2-year program. And they can choose any, they don't even have to choose the language that they would take in 9th and 10th grade. They can even learn sign language. They can learn it on videos, and they just have to produce the evidence of that, yes, I have worked over 2 years to improve my language and my proficiency in this language. Yes. Yes.
So that was my second question. About the language development piece. So how do you all measure that they've achieved?
Good question. Good question. So with all of, even with CAS for DP and language development and the service learning for CP, we have a coordinator. We have a person in the building dedicated to monitor that with the students. And with CP, well, this is better because I was blinding. With the CP kids, they have a language development supervisor, Ms. Bowen, who's also their advisor twice a month. And so they learn what to do and where to post all their information. There's a Google Drive where they upload their evidence and they write their reflections of what they've done in a certain folder. And that's how we monitor it. Does that answer your question? Okay.
So do they take a class?
They do not have to take a class, no ma'am.
Can they take a class?
Oh yes, but what they do in class cannot count for their language development. So they have, no? What they do, we have Ms. Stewart here, she's the CP guru.
If they take an IB language, then they have to do an additional 50, but let's say they took 2 years
If
to
they-
take it and they want to go to Arabic 1, they can do that, and they can count the class for it.
If it's not a DP class.
Yeah, and what if it's not being used for an IB diploma exam?
Yeah.
They can use that language class to satisfy the DP. But they can't just continue in the same language they're in and take to the next level. They can, like if they were in Spanish 3, yeah, that's great, they can go to Spanish 4. And that would count. Yes. Okay.
to think about how we monitor it, there are benchmarks, so we don't just, we have to sit with them at certain times. There are calendars that we've created where they say, okay, by this date you have to have completed this and this, and you have to show it to me in the Google Drive. Same thing with CAS, same thing with the service learning. So with the service learning for CP, they have 2 service learning coordinators, and they also are their advisement teachers, and they share that advisement time with the language development teacher. So just yesterday, for an entire hour, it was myself with the service learning coordinators, and we were doing the interview part of the service learning project, and we have to write down the notes and type it up and submit it. So that's how we monitor it. Any other questions about CP? Yes, ma'am.
So, in the pathway, are the kind of classes that are broken out over these 2 years, the pathway classes listed on that website? So we know like what
Yes.
classes they are and who teaches them?
Yes, and so you can see, well, if my child is wanting to do web design, what should they have already taken? And what will they need to take next in the next year? Yes. Yes, sir.
Does the fine arts clear path to Georgia State that different?
It's, yes. It will be. We're close, but it will be. So what that means is this. At the end of their pathway, the students have to be assessed by an outside organization to ensure that we have prepared them for, to finalize this pathway. And so for web design and AVTF, they take an exam that has already been created, and then they're assessed in that manner. For visual arts, there's not going to be an exam because that's not what the focus is. It's going to be creating a portfolio of work over the 2-year program. And a faculty member at the Studio Art and Design at Georgia State University will assess the portfolio. If we get the music one, maybe, a faculty member at Kennesaw State, the director will be the one to assess their music portfolio that they record and create and compile over the 2 years. Okay, so this is my school website. It's ibnahs.weebly.com. And Ms. Stewart, if you can click on the... Okay, so you don't have to click on what is the IB diploma program, but that's where this PowerPoint is. Okay. It also has a lot more information about what the diploma program looks like. Like, what does an extended essay look like? You can go there. Okay. Academic planner. So this is the diploma program planner just for North Atlanta. It tells you, goes back over what are the requirements and how does it help the student and what the classes. Someone asked, what do the classes look like? It's in there. Okay, what classes will the student take? It also shows you what classes we offer. If you go on an IBO website, you can see that some schools offer totally different diploma program classes that we offer, but we have our own course set of courses that we have for the kids. We actually have a lot more than many, so they have a lot of options in our school. Yes, ma'am?
Just real quick, and I didn't know this when we went through it before, how do you decide if the student's going to be in the higher level or the standard level?
Okay, good. So this is a diploma program question, not a CP. Okay, so the students have to have a minimum 3 higher level and 3 standard level courses. Some of the courses, it's already determined. Every one of our DP kids takes literature higher level. Higher level and standard level, all that means is that it's not that it's any easier, it's just that they're assessed on less. There's a less number of seat hours required. And so it's 3 and 3. We have some students that are doing 4 HLs and 2 SLs because they want to. But some classes is an automatic HL or an SL. So I can give you an example schedule for the many students. Most of our DP students take, in their Group 1, HL Literature, and Group 2, an HL World Language. French and Spanish are only offered right now at HL, and we're looking into maybe an SL for next year, but we're trying to figure out if we have enough interest. If they're in Arabic and Chinese, anybody's child who's in Arabic and Chinese, then that's only offered at the SL level, okay? And if they take Arabic and Chinese, that means that they have to choose, most likely, their science will be in HL. And some classes are only offered at SL, like economics and business management. History is only offered at HL, and the majority of our kids don't have a problem with this because their literature and their history class is pretty much automatic, and there are 2 HLs right there. If you're a super arts student, anybody that's their kids thinking DP and they're in dance or visual arts or film, you can take all of those at HL level. Yes?
So the classes are offered in both, students choose whether to take HL or SL.
Yes. There is a form actually created today that they will be given by their counselor, and it maps out, it lists every single class we offer. And the kids at the bottom, they calculate that I pick 3 and 3, of course with our guidance. But some classes, like I say, are only offered in HL, like literature. There's not an SL lit class. They have to.
You were saying 4 and 2, that's for some students, you just, it's the math package and different pathways.
Like, for instance, we have a student that's really good in science and film, and so they're taking HL in those. So.
On college, when colleges get their transcripts, do they see the difference in HL and SL or not?
Yes. Okay.
Is considered a more rigorous?
They cover a lot. They cover more content. That's the difference. There's more time spent. The idea is there's more time with the kids, and there's more content that has been covered. Sorry. Okay, so the question was, how do students choose the difference between an SL and an HL class? And I said that some of it, there is no choice, because every student takes literature HL, but it depends on their preference. I mean, that's the beauty of the DP and the CP. It's largely about what the student is interested in. And they can mix and match with what they want to do. And, you know, say, for instance, if you're a CP, if you're just not really interested in taking 2 years of a DP language class, then great, well, we have CP for you. And then you can take as many. We have CP kids that have 4 DP classes because they want to, but they really are passionate about their pathway too. And they, you know, so the colleges, of course, are going to, I know a lot of this has to do with how the universities look at it. Your kid's an IB student, and they're in that IB continuum. They're both very rigorous, and of course, there's a lot of evidence about DP, about, you know, they have a higher rate of, they're going to stay in college for 4 years. They're going to graduate in 4 years. I mean, there's just a big difference between students that have gone through the program and those that have not. And they have the same teachers too, DP and CP. So they're not in their special CP lit class. They're right there with the other kids. They're all together if they're in those DP classes. I saw a hand right here. Yes?
How are you advising the kids that, and it's only been in place for a couple of years, the kids that are in the double math, and I know that's not the technical term for it, because they're on this like AP track, and my understanding is that is the most rigorous math at school. So can they even join DP or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
How does that work?
I got a cheat sheet. Math requires a cheat sheet. There are a lot of math options simply because all the kids, you know, all of the kids in 10th grade take at least 10th grade lit or AP lit, but our kids have different math classes, and the question is, how do you determine which math class? And can these kids that are in the fast track math, can they be in the DP program? And yes, they can. So this is on the website. It's called a 4-year pathway, so you can see what, if my child took this in 9th grade and this in 10th grade, what would they take in 11th grade if they went into the diploma program? And there are about 7 or 8 options, and so I can't, they're not going to make sense if I tell them to you, but I can tell you this: yes, they are prepared and they can take what ends up usually happening with those kids on that fast track is they take an AP calculus their junior year and they take IB math in 1 year their senior year. But the math is really tailored to the student. It really is. More than any other class, it's really tailored to the student because the students are in all different places. And they have different interests too.
And it's on that website?
Yes, ma'am. And it is all on the website. It's ibnahs.weebly.com. And you can see, if you just go back and then I'll be done in 1 minute. At the bottom, everything that we do, because there's a lot of stuff that the kids have to do, I try really hard to post it, be transparent. Every single thing has a due date, and we stick to that due date, unless we have a whole week off with snow. But we really, in every guide that we create, I post here, so it's like, if you're a junior parent, this is what your child is doing. If you're a senior parent, this is what your child is doing. So everything is there. You can see how we organize the program. And my name is Danielle Kostarides, and if you want, you can email me. My name is on the website.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Robinson. I am one of the counselors at North Atlanta. I started out last year with your class as their counselor when they started as 9th graders. And then, of course, we went to Alpha this year, so you guys had 5 different counselors depending on the last name of the student. And starting back next year, we'll be going back to grade level. And so I will be taking back my class of 2020, and they will have me until they graduate. So I'm happy about that too, thank you. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about, I know that we've discussed advanced placement as an option for your students, IBDP, IBCP, and on top of that, we also have what's called the dual enrollment option. And so there are quite a few options for your students to take advantage of, depending on their individual preference and depending on what it is they want to achieve by the time they graduate from North Atlanta. So one of the good things about dual enrollment is that, of course, they earn high school credit and college credit while they're at North Atlanta for the courses that they take at a college campus. And so basically, we have students that are currently participating in our dual enrollment program, and they either do it full-time or they're doing it part-time, where they may take 1 or 2 classes here in the building with us, and then they'll take the additional classes at one of the participating universities that we currently partner with to take the other courses, and they get to pick and choose which ones they want to take based on their own individual preference. And they actually earn dual credit. So they earn, for example, a student who's an 11th grader who's required to take American Lit as their English requirement for graduation with us, they can take that American Lit at the college campus and get that American Lit credit from the college, but also meet that requirement for graduation for APS purposes. And whatever grade they earn at the college is then transferred back to the North Atlanta transcript. So, as you can see, it says that it provides students with post-secondary coursework for credit towards both high school graduation and post-secondary requirements. We have current partnerships with Georgia State, Atlanta Metropolitan College, Kennesaw State, Clark Atlanta University, Georgia Perimeter College, Atlanta Technical College, and Chattahoochee Tech. We also have students who have attended other schools. We've worked with Oglethorpe in the past. We kind of strayed away from Oglethorpe because we had a couple of students who had some really bad experience with the courses that they took that weren't actually eligible for the graduation requirements. And so, unbeknownst to them and unbeknownst to us, the academic advisors at Oglethorpe kind of switched their classes around, and so it caused a lot of, chaos and aggravation. So we kind of steered away from using them. We do have a student who's at the University of North Georgia who's been there for the last 2 years. Yes.
So, just use that junior you were talking about as an example.
Yes.
You showed American Lit. So, does that count as hours towards his college graduation as well and credit for high school?
It could potentially count for hours towards the college requirement, but that will be based on the individual college that they decide that your son or daughter decides to attend once they apply, and that college evaluates the transcript from the dual enrollment college to determine which courses they will allow for transfer credit. and that will vary from school to school. I will share with you that we had a student that graduated last year, class of 2017, who attended Georgia State both her junior year and senior year. She graduated and started at Kennesaw State as an incoming junior because she had enough credits, and all her credits transferred over because it was a seamless transition from one University System of Georgia school to another University System of Georgia school. So she's a junior in the honors program. She'll be graduating next year. Yes.
So it's possible then to select that we select a school who's had dual enrollment, whereby one college will accept the credit, but another college may not.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's suppose college XYZ will take a dual enrollment program where you attend Georgia State, but they won't embark on that. Is that possible?
That's possible.
So unless you know.
You won't really know until they get to see your transcript. They'll require that you submit that college transcript so that they can review those courses to determine whether or not they'll award credit as a transfer credit.
You have a list, for instance, before you select a school, of which colleges will take credit.
Say that one more time.
You'll have a list of which colleges will accept credit.
No, we don't know which colleges will accept that. That's going to be based on an individual basis. I don't have a way of knowing which college is going to accept which credits. We recommend that the student, of course, submits the transcript from that college. That college will determine, that admissions counselor at that particular college is going to make that determination on which courses they'll accept. That's the same with AP.
And there's no set agreement like Georgia, UGA.
Yeah, well, most of the kids, like I said before, if you stay in the state, you go to a Georgia State, and you're going to a state school here in Georgia, most likely they will accept those credits. It just depends on the school. You know, maybe if you go to an Atlanta Metro, they may not. But Georgia State or Kennesaw State, chances are they will. Yes.
Robert, when you go on the website for most colleges, you don't have to talk to admissions people. It has down in their bulletin, which is their course catalog, the transfer of IB, different levels of IB classes, and what you could get depending on what your grade would be, and it also has dual enrollment in most of the websites for all colleges. So that's what you can do.
All right. Yes. What are the requirements? Good question. So the requirements for dual enrollment will vary based on that particular school, but what they ask for is the student's transcript. Usually the minimum GPA is anywhere between a 2.5 to a 3.0, depending on that particular school. They want to see your test score, either your ACT or your SAT test score, and typically the minimum SAT score is 900 and above. ACT is usually around a 20 and above. If they're looking at a technical college, they have to take the AccuPlacer exam, and they have their own individual scoring for the AccuPlacer, which is separate. They'll accept SAT or ACT, but they're not required to if they're looking at a technical school to take the SAT or the ACT. So to be eligible in dual enrollment, of course, a student must be enrolled in either 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, or a private school or public high school in Georgia, or home study school within the Georgia public system. They must be admitted to an eligible participating University System of Georgia school, technical college system of Georgia school, or a private post-secondary institution as a dual enrollment student, be enrolled in courses listed in the approved Move On When Ready course directory. The course directory, I believe you mentioned, is listed on georgiafutures.org's website. Maintain satisfactory academic progress as defined by the eligible post-secondary institution. Next slide. Should be one about college career. Oh, that was not on there?
It should be the next one, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, we took it out, remember I said to take it out.
Okay. So I'll just go ahead and talk about it then. So the other option is the Atlanta College and Career Academy. That is a new program that was started last year through Atlanta Technical College, and APS has partnered with Atlanta Technical College to offer students the opportunity to take advantage of their licensure programs. They have 16 programs in total. that our students are able to take advantage of. And what happens is our students will be at North Atlanta for half the day. They're here for first and second period, taking their core subject courses, which are their English, math, science, and social studies. They leave at the end of second period. A bus picks them up from North Atlanta and transports them to Atlanta Technical College to take advantage of those particular programs that they offer. Once they have fulfilled the program requirements and they meet the licensure requirement exam, then they are able to actually work in that particular field and start gaining income. So it's a really nice advantage. It's paid for through APS, so the students aren't required to pay any money out of pocket to attend. The programs are listed. They have automotive repair, computer information systems, early childhood education, plumbing, piping and fitting technology, supply chain management, electronics, construction, avionics, barbering, cosmetology, health information management, design and media production technology, welding, pharmacy technology, drafting, and carpentry. So they have 16 programs. So we have students that are currently taking advantage of these programs, and some will have classes that meet twice a week, some have classes that meet 3 times a week. So a lot of students like it because if they're leaving here at the end of second and they're going over there, if they have just, first and second period classes here in our building, they may not have a class on a Thursday for that technical school that they're attending at Atlanta Tech, which means they can go home at the end of second and work on whatever work that they need to be doing, whether it's something that they need to do for us here or their class at Atlanta Tech. So they may have some days off where they may not have a class at the end of second period. They also earn weighted credit for all the courses, just like dual enrollment and also like IB and AP. So they get that extra 10 points for those courses based on the grade that they earn in that class. But the really nice thing about it is that, for students who may not decide that they want to start college right away, but they want to go ahead and go into the workforce, this is an opportunity for them to learn a skill, learn a trade, be able to take care of themselves, support themselves financially, and earn a really good income. So a lot of these fields that they go into will start anywhere between $50,000 and up. And for some students, that's a lot of money for most students. Any questions about the Atlanta College and Career Academy? Okay. So these are the options. They have about 5 options. You have AP, IB, DP, IBCP, Move On and Ready, and Atlanta College and Career Academy. So you guys have a lot of decisions to make. They can start Atlanta College and Career Academy as early as 9th grade year, but most of the times our students started as early as 10th. We don't have any freshmen that are taking advantage of those programs. We actually don't really encourage 9th graders to start that early, just because they're really, over there with an older population of students coming in as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old that may be a shock to their system. We don't want them to be traumatized. So we usually don't recommend that they start that until 10th grade year. Yes.
Are you going to go over AP or we're not going to go over AP?
Oh, I thought they did. They didn't go over AP?
I'll address AP when we have in the next meeting. The thing to know about AP for the rising 11th graders is that we do offer, we're going to be presenting and offering to students 17 different AP courses next year. For the rising 11th graders, that includes and encompasses AP Environmental Science, AP Biology, AP Physics 1. We're not going to be offering additional AP Physics at this time yet. AP Lang, AP Calculus AB or AP Calculus BC, depending on which current math they're in now. AP Statistics, and then of course we also have AP French, AP Spanish, and then the 3 AP US History, Miss Stewart has to chime in because that's her department. So AP US History as well as AP, for 11th grade. For 11th grade, we don't recommend AP Economics yet. That's a 12th grade level course, but we will have that available for them in 12th grade AP Macroeconomics, not micro, macro. We also have available for them the 11th graders that are in the arts program, AP 2D, AP 3D, AP Visual Arts. So there's a wide variety of AP courses. We also, for 12th graders, are going to offer and try to make AP Government as well, but that again would be 12th grade.
We have Chinese, AP Chinese, no?
No, there is no AP Chinese or AP Arabic. Those classes, we do have levels 3 and 4, but unless they came in already well advanced, they would not be prepared for AP Chinese or AP Arabic. The reason they can go into the IB, Arabic, and Chinese is because it's called ab initio, which means that it's an expectation that they're going from the beginning. So it's actually customized based on where our kids are.
So,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
so do they take primarily AP courses and not be in the IB track, but take IB Chinese?
No, if they are not in the IB program, but are taking mostly AP classes and they're staying with Chinese, they'll progress to Chinese 3. Now, I will tell you, most of the time, Chinese 3 or Arabic 3 for that matter is sometimes stacked into an IB level for year 1 level class, meaning that they're both in the same room, but they do get different course material. They don't do all the IB assessments, so there are some differences there. Yes, ma'am. So the question was, in the IB math, there's a way to work in the AP. It depends on what math they're currently in as 10th graders. So that's something I'll talk about when we get into the next part of the scheduling, because the math placements really are very much dependent on their current level. So if they're, for example, currently in the pre-calculus, calculus fast track as a 10th grader, they are ready to, if they perform well, go into AP calculus BC as an 11th grader. And if they do well there, then if they're going into the diploma program or the career-related program, they could then go into the, there's a special section of IB Math Year 2 as 12th graders that they take, if they've taken the AP Calculus BC. Some of them may go into AP Calculus AB as 11th graders, and then potentially do BC later, or do IB Math rather, as 12th graders. So there's so many different possibilities, and all of that I'm going to try to direct you to where to go and look for this in the next meeting. Are there any other questions that are specifically related to current 10th graders and helping you help your children make the choice of what program they want to go into? Right here and then in the back. Weebly. Okay. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
For student athletes, is that they do the active program or do they do that?
Oh yeah, no, we have tons of varsity athletes who are in the IBDP program and currently in the IBCP. Our first cohort of IBCP students is in fact littered with varsity baseball players, because I'm just thinking of that group of kids right off the top of my head. We have multiple varsity athletes who are in the DP program, so yes, absolutely. It really, it really does depend on your individual child and their time management, certainly. So that's a decision that you and your child have to make. If they're doing travel sports and going all over, you may need to look at the level of rigor and the amount of time that's going into an IBDP program. If your kid is going to be traveling to Colorado for the Olympic. Well, and that's interesting. So Ms. Stewart just said she's always found that they do better in season than out of season because they're like forced to have to be organized with their time and manage their time. And I would 100% agree with that, being the parent of a travel athlete. That is so true. My daughter did much better the semesters that she was traveling and with ball and trying to manage her time than when she was out of season. Yes, ma'am. So the question was, for the IB diploma program, for qualifications, it is an 85 average in their core classes and in their language class in 9th and 10th grade. So it's a total of 5 classes. For the CP, it is 85 average in the core classes and in whatever their pathway class is as well, but not language. If there are parents coming in for the 7 o'clock meeting, feel free to come on in. We're just taking some questions from current 10th grade parents. I certainly want to encourage you all. Current 10th grade parents, I want to take your questions. Bear with me here. But I do want to go ahead and just let you know that the next meeting is different from what you just experienced. Okay? The next part of the meeting is really going through our scheduling process and what that's going to look like. It's, really going through making sure that you understand where our timeline is and what the choices are and what information is out there. So with that said, let's go over here. You had a question, ma'am? Okay. I'll take it. I got you next time. Yes. So, want to address it? So the question is, what percentage of students do IB CP versus DP? This year is our first year as an authorized CP school, so we only have one cohort of 26 students who are doing it. I was talking to Ms. Costarides about next year, because I'm already planning and scheduling for next year. And it's probable we'll have 2 cohorts in the 11th grade, and then we'll just have the 1 cohort finishing out at 12th. And, we're seeing it's going to grow because a lot of kids are very much attracted to this idea of kind of picking their IB classes and still being able to explore the things that they enjoy, but still getting that, quality rigor in their schedule. So, at this point, it's we can't make that determination, right? Yes, so the question is, are there any more volunteer hour requirements past the 75 that are needed for graduation if you are an IB student? And I 100% am going to hand this to Ms. Stewart while I go get my clicker.
So the volunteer hours for the diploma program, they need about 50 starting on the first day of school of junior year and through the 2. If, for instance, they have not satisfied their 75 hours for graduation as yet, they may double dip. So if they've already done 75, then they have to do another 50. But if they've done 30 hours of community service by the end of 10th grade, any hours they do starting junior year can go into the IB bucket and the graduation bucket. Additional 50, like if your child's only done 25 so far, then he only has to do another 50 for either parent or DP.
So CP still need an additional
50. Yeah. All right, I guess we're going to transition to the next meeting, and I'll be here for a little bit. I'll walk around.